The space station floated silently above the blue-green planet of Zephyria. It was enormous, a shining ring of metal and light stretching hundreds of kilometers. Alien ships moved through its docking bays like schools of fish in water. Inside the station, the air was cool, the lights bright and the walls smooth and metallic. The hum of machines filled every corner, a constant reminder of the advanced technology that held the station together. At the center of the station was the Grand Hall, a place where the Council of Alien Leaders met. The Council was famous across the galaxy for its power and strict rules. Every leader on the station was strong, clever, and fearless, and at the head of the Council sat Zira, known as the Ice Queen of Zephyria. Her gaze was so sharp, so cold, that it could freeze the will of any creature. Stories of her piercing eyes spread across star systems. To meet her was to face fear itself. The Grand Hall shimmered with light as the Council prepared for a historic meeting. For the first time, humans were invited to represent Earth. Their ships had arrived yesterday, small but sturdy, with crews full of curiosity and courage. Among them was Captain Alex Rains, a human man of medium build with calm, confident eyes and a warm smile. Unlike many aliens, he did not bow to authority or try to show off. He simply stood, ready to observe and learn. When the humans entered the Grand Hall, silence fell like a heavy curtain. Every alien in the room watched them with suspicion. Humans were known for their unpredictability. Some considered them weak. Others thought them reckless. But Zira's eyes, sharp as lasers, studied each human carefully. She was especially interested in this Captain Alex, whose presence seemed different. The moment the humans reached the center of the room, Zira's eyes fixed on Alex. His gaze met hers, steady and unflinching. The other humans looked nervous, glancing down or shifting their weight. But Alex did not move. He did not falter. The council members whispered among themselves. "Who is this human?" one asked, voice shaking slightly. "Why does he not tremble?" Zira's lips curved in the faintest smile. No one had ever held her gaze like this. Her eyes, which usually froze the strongest creatures, felt a strange warmth. Like the first sunlight after a long winter, she tilted her head slightly. "Curious. Humans," she said, her voice clear and powerful, echoing across the hall. "You are far from your planet. You enter a place of strength, of wisdom, and of law. Do you understand the rules here?" Alex nodded. "Yes, Zira, we understand. And we are here to learn, to share, and to cooperate." A murmur ran through the council. Few had ever spoken to Zira with such honesty and respect. Most species tried to impress her, to hide fear or weakness. Alex did neither. His calm, quiet confidence was unusual, even shocking. Zira leaned forward slightly. "Very well. We shall see if your words match your actions. Humans, your first challenge is observation. Watch and learn. You will need more than courage to survive here." The council then demonstrated a series of intricate maneuvers. Machines moved with precision, holograms flashed complex patterns, and the aliens executed tasks that required intelligence, skill, and teamwork. Most humans struggled to keep up, their reactions slower than the highly trained aliens. But Alex watched carefully, analyzing every movement. He noticed patterns the others missed, small details in timing and coordination that gave him ideas on how to respond. After the demonstration, the council turned to Alex. "And you, human? What do you see?" Zira asked. Her voice carried a weight that made others tremble, but Alex remained calm. "I see opportunity," Alex said simply. "Your techniques are excellent, but I notice gaps where teamwork and adaptability could improve efficiency. Humans rely on quick thinking and cooperation, and we can complement your methods without replacing them." Zira blinked. She was not used to creatures speaking like this to her directly, without fear, without hesitation. The other council members whispered again, unsure how to react. "Interesting," Zira murmured. She leaned back, her fingers brushing the smooth table in front of her. Most would have faltered, spoken empty words, or bowed. "You do not. Perhaps humans are worth observing more closely." Alex nodded, his expression calm but sincere. "Thank you. We hope to learn from you, and perhaps teach you something as well." Zira's eyes lingered on him longer than necessary. She felt a strange sensation, one she had never felt before. Something warm, almost like curiosity and admiration mixed together, stirred in her chest. She quickly pushed it aside. Council members must not show weakness. They must always remain in control. But control was becoming harder. Every time she looked at Alex, the warmth grew. She found herself studying him during breaks, noticing his gestures, the way he listened carefully, the way he treated his crew with respect. It was confusing. She had never felt drawn to another being in this way, certainly not someone so different from her own kind. The humans were then taken on a tour of the station. Massive corridors stretched in all directions. Labs hummed with advanced technology. Observation decks looked down on swirling clouds of the Zephyrian planet below. Everywhere Alex went, aliens watched him. He moved with quiet confidence, not loud or boastful, but always aware of his surroundings. He asked questions politely, listened carefully, and treated every alien he met with respect. Zira followed from a distance, sometimes closer, sometimes hidden. She watched him help a nervous young alien scientist adjust a control panel. She saw him calm a frightened security officer with a kind word and a steady presence. Slowly, she realized humans had a strength she had not considered, something beyond physical or mental power. Humans had heart. Humans had empathy. Humans could inspire trust, and that trust made others stronger. By the time the tour ended, Zira found herself standing closer to Alex than she intended. He turned to her and smiled, the simple gesture warm and genuine. Zira's heart, something she had never admitted existed, skipped a beat. She looked away quickly, reminding herself that she must remain the Ice Queen. The council reconvened that evening. Other aliens looked at Alex with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. They had never seen their leader so affected by another creature. Zira's gaze, usually sharp and intimidating, softened when she looked at the human. The council noticed but dared not comment. "Humans," Zira said, her voice steady. "Tomorrow begins your first official test. You will face challenges designed to measure intelligence, strategy, and emotional control. Fail and you may embarrass your species. Succeed and you may earn our respect." Alex bowed slightly. "We are ready." His voice was calm, yet carried confidence that was unusual among humans. As the humans left the grand hall, Zira remained behind. She stared at the empty room, her mind racing. The Ice Queen had never felt this way before. Not admiration, not curiosity, not longing. One human, so small, so different, had stirred something deep inside her. She clenched her hands into fists, trying to suppress the strange emotions. But even as she tried, she could not deny the truth. Captain Alex Rains had done what no other being had ever done. He had met her gaze and stood firm. And somewhere deep in her heart, Zira felt it begin to melt. Outside, the stars twinkled, and the massive station hovered silently above Zephyria. Within its walls, a quiet revolution was beginning, not of armies or weapons, but of hearts. One human, brave and kind, had arrived, and nothing in the council would ever be quite the same again. The next morning, the grand hall of the Zephyrian Council buzzed with anticipation. The humans gathered at the center, glancing nervously at the alien leaders seated in their high chairs. Each alien's expression was sharp, calculating, and full of expectation. Among them, Zira sat at the head, her piercing gaze fixed on Captain Alex Rains. She had spent the night thinking about him, the calm human who had not flinched under her eyes. "Humans," Zira began, her voice echoing across the hall. "Your first challenge begins today. You will face a series of tests. Each test measures a different skill: intelligence, strategy, and emotional control. You must succeed not only to prove your species' worth, but to prove your own." Alex nodded. "We are ready," he said. His voice carried calm determination, and even the other humans felt steadier simply because of his presence. The first test was a puzzle of logic and speed. A holographic grid appeared in the center of the hall, shifting and changing constantly. Alien delegates had solved these puzzles in minutes. Many humans tried at first but failed to keep up. The grid's patterns were complex, but Alex studied them carefully. He noticed that the grid followed certain rules, hidden in the way the lights flashed. While the other humans panicked, Alex calmly instructed them to work together, each observing different parts of the grid. He pointed out patterns that others missed. Slowly, step by step, they began to match the sequences correctly. Zira watched silently, her eyes narrowing, not in anger but in focused curiosity. "Interesting," she whispered to herself. Humans relied on intuition and teamwork, not just logic. That was something no other species had shown. The second test was a strategy simulation. The humans were placed in a virtual battlefield against simulated enemies that represented different alien species. The simulation tested quick thinking, planning, and adaptability. Alex observed the situation carefully. Many humans wanted to attack immediately, relying on strength. Alex shook his head. "Wait," he said. "The enemy is strong. If we attack now, we will lose. Observe their movements and we will find a better way." He studied the simulation and noticed a weak point in the virtual enemy's defense, a gap that could be used to achieve success without unnecessary loss. He explained his plan clearly and calmly, assigning roles to each human. They executed the strategy perfectly. The simulation ended with a decisive human victory. The council murmured in disbelief. "How?" one alien whispered.
"No human has ever completed this test successfully." Zyra leaned forward, her gaze fixed on Alex. She felt a strange sense of admiration.
He had not only succeeded, but he had done it with patience and intelligence, qualities she valued highly. The third test measured emotional control. Humans were placed in a room with holograms of dangerous creatures, simulated disasters, and impossible situations. The test was designed to make participants panic or lose focus. Other species had failed this test many times. Their fear was visible, their minds disrupted. Alex, however, remained calm. He noticed that fear was contagious, but confidence could spread the same way. He encouraged his fellow humans to focus on observation and problem-solving. "Do not fight the fear," he said. "Understand it, learn from it, and then act." Step by step, the humans navigated the challenges. They made correct decisions, saved holographic creatures, and solved the impossible scenarios. Zyra, observing from the gallery above, felt her heart stir again. She had never seen humans respond to fear with clarity and calmness. It was unusual, almost magical to her eyes. After the tests, Zyra descended from her high chair. She walked among the humans, her presence commanding yet strangely gentle. "Human captain," she said, her voice softer than usual. "You have performed well. Perhaps your species is stronger than I imagined. Tell me, why do you succeed where others fail?" Alex looked up at her calmly. "Zyra," he said, using her name without fear. "We humans rely not only on strength or skill. We rely on trust, on teamwork, and on understanding. We learn from mistakes and adapt. We respect our allies and care for them. These are our strengths, and they often surprise others." Zyra's sharp eyes softened as she listened. The words resonated within her. In her society, strength was measured by power, speed, and control. Emotion was often considered weakness, but here was a human explaining that care, trust, and collaboration were also forms of power. The other council members whispered among themselves, clearly unsettled. No species had ever approached Zyra like this. Humans were supposed to be weak, easy to intimidate, and yet they had succeeded in every test, guided by this calm human leader. Zyra's mind raced. She found herself walking alongside Alex as he reviewed the tests, explaining his reasoning to his team. She noticed small details, the way he encouraged, the way he observed carefully, the way he remained calm under pressure. For the first time, she felt admiration mixed with something more, something she could not name. Later, in a private chamber overlooking the planet below, Zyra allowed herself a moment to think. Her species had always valued control, fear, and intellect, and yet a single human had demonstrated courage, patience, and empathy. He had done what no one else could. He had melted the edge of her heart, softened by his bravery and kindness. That evening, the council held a discussion. Some members argued that humans should be kept under strict watch, fearing they might become dangerous if their intelligence and creativity grew. Others were curious, wanting to learn more from the humans. Zyra remained silent, her thoughts focused on Alex. The next day, Zyra decided to observe the humans in a less formal setting. She followed them through the station's gardens and recreation halls. Alex noticed her presence but did not act afraid or uncomfortable. He smiled politely. "Good evening, Zyra. Would you like to join us?" Zyra hesitated. Normally, she would never mix with outsiders casually, but something about Alex made her step forward. She joined the group, walking among humans and quietly observing. She noticed how Alex interacted, not with command or fear, but with respect. He helped a young human scientist adjust her equipment, offered kind words to a nervous trainee, and laughed easily with his crew. For Zyra, it was mesmerizing. She realized that humans possess something rare in the galaxy, the ability to inspire trust, loyalty, and courage without demanding it. They led not by fear but by example. As the evening continued, Zyra found herself talking with Alex more than she intended. They discussed the planet below, the stars above, and the nature of leadership. Alex spoke calmly, thoughtfully, and sometimes with humor. Zyra had not laughed like this in decades, not since she had been a young leader in training. The humans returned to their quarters later, but Zyra remained, gazing out at the planet. The test of wit had ended, but the real test, her own feelings, had only begun. She realized that Alex had done more than succeed in the Council's challenges. He had challenged her understanding of strength, leadership, and emotion. For the first time, she felt a strange warmth whenever she thought of him. She could not explain it, but she knew one thing. She wanted to learn more about humans, and especially about this human who had melted the edge of her heart. Meanwhile, Alex and his team celebrated quietly in their quarters. "That was harder than I expected," said one human. "But we did it together," Alex nodded. "We worked as a team. That is our strength, and Zyra, she is different from anyone I've ever met. I think she's trying to understand, not just judge. We must respect that, and continue to show her what humans can do." The humans laughed softly, feeling proud of their achievements. Unbeknownst to them, Zyra watched from a distance, smiling faintly. The Ice Queen, feared by many, was beginning to feel something new. Curiosity, admiration, and perhaps the first hints of friendship, or even something more. Above the station, the stars twinkled, silent witnesses to a story that was just beginning. The humans had passed their first test, but more challenges awaited. And Zyra, the Ice Queen, found herself drawn to a human in a way she had never experienced before. It was the start of something unexpected, powerful, and entirely new, for both humans and Zephyrians. The morning sun rose over Zephyria, casting long shadows across the massive space station. The metallic corridors glowed softly, and the hum of the station was steady and calm. Captain Alex Rains and his human crew prepared for another day of interactions with the Zephyrian Council. Unlike the first day, they were no longer viewed as mere visitors. They had begun to earn attention and, in some cases, respect. Zyra, the Ice Queen, watched from her private chamber. Her piercing gaze, once feared by all, now lingered on the human captain in ways she had never anticipated. Every time she thought of Alex, a strange warmth stirred within her chest, a feeling she had spent decades suppressing. She told herself that it was irrelevant. Leaders could not be swayed by personal feelings. Yet, try as she might, she found herself curious about him, wanting to know more about his thoughts, his reasoning, and his way of seeing the universe. When Alex arrived in the council hall for the day's scheduled interactions, Zyra greeted him formally, but her voice was softer, almost hesitant. "Captain Rains," she said, "today will be less about tests and more about understanding. You will work closely with our teams in various exercises designed to measure teamwork and adaptability." Alex nodded with a small, polite smile. "We look forward to it, Zyra. We hope to learn from your experience, and perhaps share some of ours as well." The humans and Zephyrians moved to a large simulation room, where holographic projections displayed complex environments, cities, forests, oceans, and alien landscapes. Each scenario required participants to solve problems collaboratively. The humans, guided by Alex, approached the simulations with creativity. Zyra's team of elite Zephyrians, used to rigid rules, found it difficult to adapt to the humans' flexible strategies. Alex noticed the hesitation in the Zephyrians. "Rules are important," he said, "but sometimes thinking beyond the rules brings new solutions. Trust your team and trust yourself." Zyra watched him speak. There was a clarity in his voice, a confidence that was neither arrogant nor loud. It was quiet, steady, and effective. Something about it made her heart beat faster, though she quickly scolded herself for feeling it. She had never allowed her feelings to interfere with her judgment. But Alex's calm presence was changing that. During one exercise, a simulation showed a city under sudden flood. Civilians needed evacuation and resources were limited. The Zephyrians planned meticulously, calculating exact routes and timings. The humans, led by Alex, adapted quickly, suggesting alternative paths and creative uses of resources. Initially skeptical, the Zephyrians were forced to follow the human captain's guidance. By combining both approaches, the simulated city was evacuated successfully, faster than anyone expected. After the exercise, Zyra approached Alex quietly. Your methods? They are unusual, she admitted. You do not rely only on strength or intellect. You consider emotion, trust, and timing. Why? Alex paused, thinking carefully. Because every being has strengths, he said. And every being has weaknesses. Ignoring either will lead to failure. Humans survive because we notice both and we adjust. We care about others, and caring gives us strength. Zira felt a strange warmth again. His words were simple, yet they carried power. She had never heard such reasoning from any species before. She had expected cleverness, manipulation, or raw intelligence, but not compassion. Over the next few days, Zira found herself seeking opportunities to observe Alex. She joined his team during exercises, not to judge, but to understand. She saw him encourage a nervous Zephyrian trainee, praising small successes instead of criticizing mistakes. She saw him solve problems with creativity rather than force, and she saw something that unsettled her. The way he treated every living being, human or alien, with respect. The other council members noticed the change in Zira. Her gaze softened whenever Alex was near, her usual commanding presence becoming more approachable. Some whispered, questioning her judgment while others were intrigued. Never had a human caused such effect on the Ice Queen. One evening, while walking through the station's observation deck, Alex noticed Zira standing alone, staring at the planet below. The clouds swirled in shades of blue and green, and the setting sun reflected off the atmosphere in brilliant colors. Beautiful, isn't it? Alex said softly, approaching her. Zira turned sharply, hiding her surprise. Yes, she replied, her voice measured. The planet? It has its own kind of order, unlike anything we have simulated. Alex smiled. Sometimes observing beauty helps us see patterns we might otherwise miss. It helps us think more clearly. Zira looked at him, studying his calm expression. She realized that humans thought differently, not just logically but emotionally. They combined mind and heart in ways her species rarely did. Captain Rains, she said quietly, you are unusual. Most creatures I meet are predictable, following either rules or instincts. You balance both, Alex chuckled softly. I think every being is unusual in some way. Some just need time to show it. Zira felt a strange, fleeting warmth at his words. She had never experienced such ease with anyone. Usually, she observed, judged, and controlled. But with Alex, she simply understood. Over the following days, the humans and Zephyrians continued collaborative exercises. Each session revealed more about human adaptability and empathy. Alex guided discussions, encouraged teamwork, and solved problems that even the Zephyrians had deemed unsolvable. Zira found herself increasingly impressed. She also noticed small changes in herself. She laughed quietly when Alex made a clever joke. She listened intently to his explanations, and she felt satisfaction when his method succeeded. The bond between Alex and Zira did not go unnoticed. Some council members grew suspicious, fearing that Zira's judgment might be compromised. She allows a human to influence her decisions, one whispered. It is dangerous. Zira overheard the comment but remained composed. She knew that trust and understanding were strengths, not weaknesses. Still, she could not deny that she felt drawn to Alex in a way that went beyond admiration. She struggled to reconcile her feelings with her responsibilities as a council leader. One evening, Zira requested a private discussion with Alex. They met in a quiet chamber overlooking the stars. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the station. Captain Rains, Zira began, her voice unusually hesitant. You have taught me much in these past days, not only about your species but about perspective, patience, and leadership. I find myself questioning what I have always known. Alex looked at her calmly, his expression warm. That is good, Zira. Questioning what we know is how we grow. Every being, every culture can learn from others. That is what makes life interesting and valuable. Zira nodded, feeling a flutter of emotion she could not name. Your ways. They are different. They are effective. But more than that, they are human. Alex smiled softly. And what do you think about humans now? Zira hesitated. She did not want to reveal the truth, yet she could not deny it. I think they are stronger than I expected. Not just in mind or body, but in spirit. And one human in particular has surprised me most of all. Alex's eyes met hers. I hope that human continues to surprise you in good ways. Zira felt her chest tighten slightly. He already has, she admitted almost in a whisper. As the days passed, the humans and Zephyrians grew closer in understanding. Zyra and Alex spent time together observing simulations, discussing strategies, and sharing stories of their worlds. Their bond deepened, built on respect, admiration, and a growing sense of connection. Zyra's icy reputation began to soften, just as Alex's calm courage and empathy influenced the entire council. Yet, tensions remained. Some council members resented the human influence, fearing that Zyra's growing trust in Alex might disrupt long-held traditions. Others were intrigued, hoping to learn from the human's unique perspective. Zyra knew that balance was needed. She had to maintain her authority while exploring this new, uncharted connection with a human who had touched her heart. The Ice Queen, once feared by all, was slowly changing. A human had entered her life not with force or power, but with courage, patience, and understanding. And Zyra felt something she had never expected. Hope. Hope that two very different beings from entirely different worlds could learn from each other and perhaps together change not only their destinies but the destiny of the galaxy. Above the station, the stars glimmered silently, witnessing the beginnings of a rare bond, one between an alien leader with a piercing gaze and a human whose courage and heart were unmatched. The Zephyrian space station had always felt secure. Its walls were reinforced with the strongest alloys, its defenses equipped with advanced energy shields and automated weaponry. Yet one quiet evening, alarms began to sound across the station. Red lights flashed as a warning echoed through the corridors. Unauthorized fleet detected approaching the station. Captain Alex Rains and his human crew were in their quarters when the alarms rang. Alex quickly assessed the situation, his calm demeanor steady even under sudden pressure. He gathered his team. "Prepare for emergency protocols," he said. "We need to understand the threat and respond quickly." Zyra received reports from the council. Her piercing gaze, usually so composed, scanned the incoming fleet with concern. The attackers were a rogue alien force, known for destroying unprotected stations and harvesting technology. Their fleet was large and their tactics ruthless. Zephyria had never faced an enemy of this scale so close to its home orbit. Council members panicked. "We must activate full defense protocols," one demanded. "We cannot risk the humans interfering. They do not understand our systems." Zyra's eyes flickered toward Alex. She felt an unexpected surge of trust. Despite her council's concerns, she knew he had abilities and insight that could be critical. "Alex," she said, "your experience with humans' adaptability. We need your input. Can you assist in coordinating our defenses?" Alex nodded. "Yes, but we must combine human ingenuity with your technology. If we follow the old methods alone, we may lose valuable time." The humans and Zephyrians assembled in the command hub, a massive room filled with holographic displays of the approaching fleet. Alex studied the maps, the ship's formations, and the predicted attack patterns. Most Zephyrians relied on strict calculations and pre-programmed responses. Alex, however, thought differently. "The enemy expects a standard defense," he said. "If we react exactly as we always do, they will find a way to break through. We need a plan they cannot predict." Zyra watched him closely. She admired his ability to remain calm under pressure. His mind worked quickly but methodically, unlike the Zephyrians, who often relied on rigid protocols. Alex outlined a plan that combined strategic deception with the station's technological strengths. Humans would guide certain defense units unpredictably, feigning weakness in some areas while strengthening critical points. Zephyrians would coordinate firepower according to Alex's suggestions, responding flexibly rather than following strict patterns. The council members were uneasy. "A human directs our defenses," one hissed. "This is dangerous." Zyra's voice cut through the tension. "Trust him," she said firmly. "If we act together, we can survive this. Do not underestimate human ingenuity." The battle began. The rogue fleet advanced quickly, firing energy blasts and launching assault drones. Most species would have panicked. But Alex's calm instructions guided the humans and Zephyrians alike. "Move the shield arrays to Sector 3. Divert power to the outer turrets. Focus on the lead ships." Zyra directed her own forces alongside Alex. Her piercing gaze, which normally froze enemies in place, now focused on strategy. She noticed how the humans adapted, how Alex encouraged them, and how he anticipated enemy movements. Slowly, she realized that his calm intelligence was not just impressive, it was powerful. Hours passed. The station shook under repeated attacks, yet Alex's plan worked. The rogue fleet struggled to predict the humans' unpredictable maneuvers. Zephyrians adapted quickly under Alex's guidance, coordinating with humans to outmaneuver the enemy. During a critical moment, one section of the station faced heavy bombardment. Alex calculated the risk and ordered a diversion, sending human-controlled drones to distract the attackers while the Zephyrians reinforced the shields. The plan worked perfectly. The enemy ships were forced to retreat temporarily, giving the station a chance to regroup. Zyra felt an unfamiliar surge of pride, not only for her species, but for the human captain who had guided them through crisis. She had always believed strength came from control and intellect alone. Now she realized that courage, empathy, and adaptability could be equally decisive. The battle reached its climax when the rogue fleet attempted a coordinated strike at the station's core. Alex devised a bold maneuver. "We need to lure them into a trap," he said. "We'll feign a weak sector and concentrate firepower from unexpected angles." Zyra hesitated. The risk was high. Failure could destroy the station. Yet she trusted Alex. "Do it," she ordered. "Coordinate with him and follow his instructions exactly." The humans executed the maneuver flawlessly. Energy beams and guided missiles struck the enemy at precise moments. The rogue fleet was caught off guard, its formation breaking apart. Zyra led her own forces in a synchronized strike, and together, humans and Zephyrians forced the attackers into retreat. Silence fell over the station. Red alarms faded and the lights returned to normal. The Council and the humans gathered in the command hub, exhausted but victorious. Zyra's eyes met Alex's. For the first time, she allowed herself to smile fully, unguarded. "You were brilliant," she said quietly. "I underestimated the value of your approach. You did not just help humans survive, you helped us all." Alex smiled back. "We worked together. That is what matters. You trusted us, Zyra. That trust made all the difference." The Council, witnessing the event, was stunned. Some members whispered in admiration, others in disbelief. A human had not only participated in their defense but had led them through a crisis that many thought impossible to survive. Zyra felt something even deeper than admiration, something she had never felt before. The warmth in her chest grew, a mixture of respect, gratitude, and something more personal. She had begun to see Alex not just as a captain, but as a remarkable being who had touched her heart. After the battle, Zyra convened a meeting with the humans and the Council. She spoke with authority but with a new softness. "Today we faced a threat that could have destroyed this station. And yet thanks to courage, intelligence, and trust, we survived. Humans, you have proven that your species is strong, not only in skill but in heart. Captain Rains, you have earned my respect and the respect of this council." Alex bowed slightly. "Thank you, Zyra. It was an honor to work with you and your people. Together we can accomplish much more than alone." Zyra's eyes lingered on him, her usual icy demeanor softened by genuine emotion. She realized that his calm courage and empathy had not only saved the station but had begun to change her view of leadership, strength, and connection. In the days following the crisis, the station slowly returned to normal. Repairs were made, systems checked, and routines resumed. Yet the memory of the battle lingered in the minds of all who had witnessed it. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or unpredictable. They were admired, and Captain Alex Rains, in particular, had proven himself a hero. Zyra continued to spend time observing Alex and his crew. She found herself laughing more often, listening more attentively, and feeling emotions she had long suppressed. Every time he spoke or smiled, she felt a warmth she could not ignore. Her piercing gaze, which had once frozen everyone in its path, now softened when he was near. Meanwhile, Alex reflected on the battle with his crew. "We did well," he said, "not because of strength alone, but because we stayed calm, worked together, and adapted. That is what makes humans strong." His words echoed in Zyra's mind. She realized that leadership was not about control or fear alone. It was about trust, understanding, and courage in the face of uncertainty. And in Alex, she had found all these qualities combined with kindness and wisdom. The Ice Queen had faced countless challenges in her life, yet none had tested her heart like this human had. She could not deny the truth any longer. Captain Alex Rains had melted her heart with his bravery, his intellect, and his compassion. Above the station, The stars continued to shine, silent witnesses to the beginning of a new era. Humans had earned their place in the Zephyrian Council, and a bond had formed between a human and an alien leader that would influence the future of the galaxy. The crisis had ended, but the story was far from over. Trust had been built, respect had been earned, and a remarkable connection had begun. Zyra and Alex knew that together they could face anything, whether threats from distant stars or challenges from within their own council. And somewhere deep inside, Zyra allowed herself to hope, not just for the safety of her station, but for something entirely new. The possibility that hearts from two very different worlds could meet, understand, and perhaps even change the universe together. The Zephyrian space station glowed softly under the light of the distant star. After the recent crisis, calm had returned, but the events of the past days had left a permanent mark. Humans were no longer outsiders or mere observers. They were recognized as allies, partners, and most importantly, as equals in courage and wisdom. Zyra stood at the top of the council chamber. Her piercing gaze, once feared by all but now softened with thoughtfulness. She looked at the humans seated among the Zephyrians, particularly Captain Alex Rains. He had proven himself in ways no one had expected, guiding the station through a crisis that could have ended in disaster. Yet it was not only his skill in strategy or quick thinking that impressed her. It was his calm courage, his empathy, and his unwavering respect for life. The council gathered for the formal ceremony of recognition. Flags of Earth and Zephyria adorned the chamber. Delegates from multiple species, some still wary and others quietly admiring, attended the event. Zyra began to speak, her voice strong yet unusually warm. "Today," she said, "we recognize the contributions of beings who have demonstrated exceptional courage, intelligence, and compassion. The humans, led by Captain Alex Rains, faced challenges that no other species could overcome. Their efforts have saved the station and strengthened our understanding of cooperation and trust." A wave of murmurs and applause swept through the chamber. Some council members who had doubted the humans now looked at them with respect. Zyra's eyes met Alex's, and for a moment the usual distance between leader and visitor disappeared. There was a quiet understanding between them, a bond forged in challenge, trust, and shared effort. Zyra continued, her voice steady. "Captain Rains and his crew have shown that strength is not measured only by intellect or power, but also by heart, courage, and empathy. They have earned a place of honor among us, not as visitors but as partners in the future of this council and the galaxy." Alex bowed slightly, humbled but composed. "Thank you, Zyra. It has been an honor to work with you and your people. We have learned as much from you as we hope you have learned from us." The crowd erupted in applause. Zyra felt a surge of pride, not just for Alex but for the courage and collaboration that humans had shown. Her usual stern demeanor softened even more. For the first time in decades, she allowed herself to smile freely, without concern for image or fear. After the ceremony, Zyra requested a private audience with Alex. They met in a quiet observation chamber overlooking the planet below. The stars twinkled silently, distant witnesses to the bond that had formed between them. "Captain Rains," Zyra began, her voice uncharacteristically gentle, "these past days have been unexpected. You have not only proven your worth to this council, but have also challenged my understanding of leadership and strength. I find that I admire you more than I thought possible." Alex looked at her calmly with his usual warmth. "Zyra, you have shown great courage and wisdom as well. You trusted us when others doubted, and you adapted when the situation demanded it. That is leadership at its best." Zyra's piercing gaze softened further, lingering on him in a way she had never allowed with anyone. "I did not expect to feel this way, or to find myself influenced by a human, and yet, here we are." Alex smiled, sensing the sincerity in her words. "Perhaps it is not so strange," he said. "Different beings can teach each other, inspire each other, and even change each other for the better. That is one of the most remarkable things about life." Zyra nodded slowly. "Yes, you have shown me that courage, empathy, and respect are as powerful as intellect or strength. You have melted the edge of my heart, Captain Rains." Alex's smile widened, gentle but full of warmth. "And you have shown me that even the most powerful beings can have depth, emotion, and the ability to grow. I am honored to have worked beside you. For a long moment, they stood together in silence, observing the planet below and the stars above. The bond between them, forged through challenge and mutual respect, had grown stronger than either had anticipated. Meanwhile, the council discussed plans for the future. Inspired by the humans' courage and adaptability, many members began reconsidering long-held traditions. Some suggested new approaches to training, governance, and diplomacy, ideas influenced by human methods. Zyra supported these changes quietly, recognizing the value of flexibility, empathy, and innovation. Over the following days, humans and Zephyrians continued to collaborate. Alex and his crew shared human techniques in problem-solving, teamwork, and emotional intelligence, while learning from Zephyrian technology, tactics, and knowledge. The exchange of ideas was rich and rewarding. Trust deepened, not only between Zyra and Alex, but across both species. One evening, as Alex and Zyra walked through the station's observation gardens, the atmosphere was calm and peaceful. Bioluminescent plants glowed softly, and the hum of the station blended with the distant twinkle of stars. "Captain Rains," Zyra said, her voice quiet, "you have changed much more than this council or the station. You have changed me. I feel different. Stronger, more open, and alive in ways I did not expect." Alex glanced at her, his expression thoughtful. "Zyra, it is natural to grow when we experience courage, trust, and understanding. You have always been strong. I only helped you see the strength you already had." Zyra smiled, a rare and genuine smile. "Perhaps, but it feels different now, because of you." Alex stopped walking and looked at her. "Zyra, whatever the future brings, I hope we continue to work together, and perhaps grow together, not just as allies, but as friends." Zyra's eyes softened further. "Yes, I would like that very much." The two stood side by side, watching the stars reflect on the surface of Zephyria. It was a moment of quiet connection, the culmination of trust, admiration, and the courage to open one's heart. The humans had proven themselves not only through skill and intelligence, but through empathy and courage. Zyra had learned that even the most disciplined and powerful leaders could be touched by kindness and understanding. And in the process, she had discovered that a human could inspire, challenge, and even melt the heart of the Ice Queen. The story of humans on Zephyria became legend, not because they conquered or commanded, but because they showed that courage, intelligence, and compassion could achieve what fear and power alone could not. Captain Alex Rains and his crew became symbols of hope, unity, and strength across the galaxy. Zyra, once known for her piercing gaze that froze all who met it, had changed. Her heart had opened, her trust had grown, and her understanding of strength had deepened. And all of this had been brought about by one human who had met her gaze and stood firm. As the stars twinkled silently above the station, Zyra and Alex walked together through the observation gardens. Their bond was no longer simply professional or diplomatic. It was personal, built on respect, courage, and shared experience. It was a rare connection, one that bridged species, cultures, and worlds. In the days that followed, the humans continued to share their knowledge, and Zyra continued to learn from them, all while deepening her feelings for Captain Rains. She realized that leadership was not only about power or control, it was about trust, understanding, and courage in the face of uncertainty. And Alex had taught her all of that, not through force or words alone, but through action, kindness, and integrity. The galaxy watched as two very different beings, human and Zephyrian, worked together to shape a future of cooperation and understanding. And at the center of it all, Zyra allowed herself to hope, for friendship, for trust, and perhaps one day for love. Captain Alex Rains had not only survived the tests of the Zephyrian Council, he had earned respect, admiration, and a place in the heart of one of the galaxy's most formidable leaders. And for Zyra, the Ice Queen, a new chapter had begun, a chapter where courage, empathy, and the warmth of a human heart had changed everything. The stars shone above the station, distant and eternal, as the bond between two worlds grew stronger, and somewhere deep in the heart of Zyra, a warmth lingered, a reminder that even the coldest gaze could be softened by the bravery and kindness of one extraordinary human.